everyone, Mariah here, and in today's video we are doing a Q&A. I'm going to be answering some questions that I got in the comments on my previous Q&A video. But before I get into the questions and answers, I want to address my video yesterday where I did a house tour. And some people were like, hey listen, like if you don't like it here, then you should probably just leave, referring to Puerto Rico. And I know when I uploaded that video that I was not having a good day and I wasn't in a very good mood and I was definitely more on the bitter side, and my attitude totally came through on that video. And I was just trying to be as realistic as possible to prepare people for what it's like to live in Puerto Rico and how the majority of houses are remodeled basically, and it's always just a very half-assed job. That's just what it is here. And so I am able to look past all of the challenges that Puerto Rico has because I get so much freedom added to my life by living here and paying 0% capital gains taxes. So with that said, I wasn't having the best day, but you know what? I don't need to always choose to film videos on when I'm having good days, right? I think it's important to get the full scope of things. So let's get into the questions and the answers. First question, what are your thoughts on Pax Gold with interest versus physical things? So for those of you that don't know, Pax Gold is basically where you own tokens, and those tokens represent a certain amount of physical gold that is stored for you in a vault. And just like I preach about cryptocurrency and not your keys, not your coins, I feel the same way about this situation with Pax Gold. It makes it easy, obviously, so you can have exposure to gold without having to actually hold physical gold yourself. But I'm a firm believer that it's not your gold, right? You just own these tokens. And I'm a big believer that if you want to really experience what cryptocurrency has to offer, then you need to hold your own keys in something like a Ledger Nano S. I have a link for a Ledger Nano S down below. Once I hit 10,000 subscribers, I'm actually going to give one of those away. So subscribe and stay tuned for that. So I understand that there's this bridge with all these other platforms, right? And it would be like, would you rather have Bitcoin in a hardware wallet, or would you rather have Bitcoin on Robinhood, where it's not even Bitcoin you can actually withdraw? All day long I'm going to choose holding coins, Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies on a hardware wallet that I actually have full access to. That's what makes cryptocurrency so special, right? Compared to the banks. We have to trust the banks that they're going to give us money that says, that reflects the number on our account. And we all know that if we all went to the bank right now, the bank would not have all of our money, right? They'd have just about 10% of what the digital number shows on the screen. And so that's how I feel ultimately about that. Question number 2, if you plan on moving to PR before the next bull run, when would be a good time to avoid gains after accumulation? So this is what you want to take in mind. Let's say you bought Bitcoin at $10,000. Let's say that you moved to Puerto Rico, and on the day that you moved and you declared that you are now a Puerto Rican resident, bona fide resident, it's at $40,000. So you owe taxes on that $30,000 gain. And anything over $40,000, you are going to get taxed 0%. But also you're going to owe $10,000 for a Puerto Rican charity annually. And I think the filing fee is now $5,000. I just got an email that I have to read through to kind of figure that out. So there is a cost to it. And it's more than what it used to be, because I only have to give a $5,000 donation, and people that are now applying have to pay $10,000, and they have to purchase a home. There's a lot more things that you have to do to make the move. So someone's asking info on crypto interest/taxes for Puerto Rico. I would feel most comfortable in this scenario saying just ask your CPA about the interest that you accumulate. I'm sure this person's referring to BLOCKFI Celsius. I would recommend talking to a CPA about that. How did you go about getting a PR driver's license? Did you do it yourself, or did you use a company to help you? So I used License & Co. So many people that move here, they're living in Condado. So Condado, the Supermax in Condado, upstairs, there's a place called License & Co. And I highly recommend that place for when you're going to get your driver's license. Let's say you're going to buy a used vehicle. Basically, all you're going to need is both you and that person that you're buying the vehicle from. You have your Puerto Rican driver's license, okay? And then you need to have the title of the vehicle, and you need to have the latest registration, the original with the actual stamp on it. Don't take a copy. That happened to me. And you can even basically exchange the vehicle there. You're gonna pay a little bit more, but trust me, you're gonna save time when it comes to doing it that way. I highly recommend it. So license and co above Supermax and Condado for most of your DMV needs. Been waiting weeks to get into the Act 60 2022 Puerto Rico Tax Incentive Forum heavily moderated group. Is it always like this? You know, I'm not really sure. I think the main moderator has changed over the years. Sometimes there's been like drama in that group and I don't really get into it. But I would say maybe cancel your request and then try again and hopefully you can get in. But maybe there's a huge demand and they're not allowing as many people in. I'm not really sure. Is one required to buy a house in PR? Yes. If you are now applying for the decree, Act 60, you are required, I believe, within 2 years to buy a home. Not only are you required to buy a home, but it has to be your primary residence. So, for example, you can't go buy like a dump for $10,000 and then rent out another place and call it a day. That has to be your primary residence. Okay, do you invest in any pre-mined altcoins? So, whether coins are mined or pre-mined, that doesn't necessarily affect if I choose to invest in them or not. It's not like one of my qualification factors. Is it cheaper to buy on an exchange and send it to Nexo or to just use the swap on Nexo? I'm gonna say timing is really important. So if you're looking at the comparisons of when the market's pretty stable, I would say the price is gonna be similar between the two. If you're looking at a time where things are really volatile, there might be a big gap in the trading. So something you have to just take into consideration, and you have to kind of just compare the two prices over time and how they fluctuate and kind of be able to find a trend between the two of them. I've heard you talk about BLOCKFI, Nexo, and Celsius, but not Crypto.com. Is their program no good or not reputable? Just curious. I think I went on Crypto.com a few months back, and I want to say like US residents weren't able to use it. It was either that or I think that was the main reason why I wasn't going to use it. I was going to, just throw a little bit, a few coins on there and see what happened. But I want to say that was the issue. But I'll have to go ahead and revisit Crypto.com and see for sure. Someone said, do you invest in PR businesses other than your rental car company? So the only company that I have started here in Puerto Rico is the rental car company. And so if anyone is not familiar with what I'm talking about, 2 months ago, I decided to run an experiment and be like, okay, I want a Jeep Wrangler. I also want it to pay for itself. If I rented it out, what would happen? And now it's just turned into like something very lucrative. I have only 5 cars. I have a business partner. We need a lot more vehicles because they would all be rented out right now. The rates are insane, and we're giving people much better deals compared to anything you're gonna find on Expedia, sometimes for like a fraction of the cost, So I have actually never been approached to invest in a business here in Puerto Rico. So if that was what this person was referring to, I've never been approached to invest in businesses here. I've gone to like a couple of events. What I would say is that I am open to investing in people's businesses, but very rarely am I like wowed by an idea, and very rarely am I wowed by the person behind the idea. So it would have to be like the perfect combination of the right idea and the person, because I'm not gonna lie, when I hear most business ideas, I'm just like, yeah, that doesn't really sound too great. So I have this initial instinct when I hear about someone's business, and so I am a bit on the critical side. I know what it takes to start from zero, and I know what the hustle's like, and I see people like, for example, like their business is on the brink of like failing or running out of money, and they don't like downgrade their life at all to be able to sustain their business longer. So if they believed in their business so much, they would be willing to downgrade their housing, their cars, their lifestyle, in order to put that towards growing their business. That's when, if someone doesn't have the ability to do that, then I would never ever invest in that business. If you're not willing to make like massive sacrifices to like keep your business sustained, like personal sacrifices, then I would never trust that entrepreneur, because I know what it's like to start a business on my own with my food truck business that I had back in California and make massive personal sacrifices in order to keep it afloat. And I would only invest in an entrepreneur that had that same capability, because most businesses fail. And so yeah, that's kind of my perspective there. Coinbase versus Binance, why? Honestly, I just really like Coinbase Pro's interface. I'm very comfortable with it. I'm not as comfortable with Binance, and it's just because I haven't used it as much. I want to say Binance has less fees, but Gemini, the trader's version of Gemini actually has lower fees than Coinbase. Coinbase's lowest tier is half a percent, and Gemini's is 0.35%. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have a question for me, go ahead and put it down in the comments below, and I will make another Q&A video in the near future, answering as many questions as I possibly can. And so if you want to support my channel by any way, you can check out the links down below. That is all I have for you today. As always, go out there and create a portfolio that you love.